Hi, I'm Jesse Vasquez. I'm a union carpenter out of Local 1. I'm a steward. My father was he was a tradesman. He was a union electrician. So growing up in that type of household, I was inspired to want to do something with my hands. I grew up in a little village, the south side of Chicago. It's a pretty rough neighborhood. I never knew there was a different life, ever. I watched, my father since I was a young kid drink, and it was something normal. It wasn't uncommon to have alcohol in every cupboard of the house, and the adults drunk from a Friday night through a Sunday. I thought that was the thing to do. I always vowed that I wasn't gonna drink like my father. By the time I was about 14, though, I started hanging around with my brother, and I started seeing my father slip further and further away from our lives. And so my brother kind of took the role of leading me to what we call manhood. He was 11 years older than me, and I remember the first time that I hung out with him and his friends, and I started drinking. I felt like I found everything that I was looking for in this bottle. I can escape and be something that I really wasn't. That's where my life really took a turn for worse. Once I was inducted into this type of lifestyle, it led from, drinking beer and to, trying different types of drugs. And to the point that I ended up in prison for a couple of years. So when I did get out, I felt that this time it was going to be different. I would say to myself, well, this time I'm not going to try to lose control of myself. In my mind, I always thought that I could figure out a way how to drink normally. It really was to no avail, because shortly after I got out of prison, I started to see myself slip further and further away. I couldn't wait till the weekend came, and I would always, even though I said to myself that I wasn't going to do it, I would have a bottle now of tequila instead of beer. I now have a wife and a second kid. I have a daughter. My drinking and my drug addiction led us to become homeless on the streets of Chicago, panhandling just to survive. It was the middle of winter. It was about Christmas time, and I remember thinking to myself, how did I get here? Is this ever gonna end? I still didn't know how to go about it. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't stay sober on the weekends anymore. Sunday morning, it's probably about 7, 8 in the morning, and I'm still drunk from Friday night. My son walks up to me and he starts talking to me. And as I speak to him, he looks at me, he says, "Dad, are you drinking already?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "Dad, are you drunk?" And I said, "I am." He says, "Dad, you're an alcoholic." And I said, "I am, ain't I?" I don't know what was different that day that he said that to me, but I finally admitted to myself that I couldn't figure out how to stop this. I don't want to live like this no more. I gave up, and I turned to something other than me, because I'm where the problem lies. I've been sober since May 22nd of 2016, about 6.5 years now. And I could say this, it was the best decision that I made in my life. Now the relationships that I have with my kids are what I live for. I work out with my son on a daily basis. He now follows in my footsteps. He became a union carpenter. He doesn't drink or do drugs. And my daughter, she works as a pharmacy technician at a hospital. My mother who got diagnosed with cancer. She does reside with me. And so my life has changed so much. The union is a brotherhood to me. I have so much pride being a union carpenter. The support that they have given me is just like any extended family would that cares. We have so many opportunities. We have some of the best benefits around that help us get out of these stressful situations. I could never erase the being homeless on the streets of Chicago or the drunken episodes that I had when I was, binge drinking. I could never take away the car accidents or the DUIs or, any of that stuff. To me, the life that I have now is far much better than what I had in my past. And for the people that are struggling out there and think that there's no solution, let me tell you, I'm living proof that there is. All you need to do is ask for help. It doesn't matter what you're struggling with. We tend to think that if we ask for help, it's a weakness. It's not a weakness. It's one of the biggest strengths that you could do is ask for help. When you find yourself in a situation and you can't figure it out, but you can't ask for help, that's the weakness.